Welcome back to GA Fan TV. My name is Aaron. This is another episode, of course, of the GA Fan TV podcast. And today I spoke with Sam Mulroy of Louth. Had a good conversation with Sam Mulroy today. We spoke about a number of things in regards to Louth football. Of course, the recent appointment of Mickey Harte. I mean, that's a massive appointment in many ways for Louth football, for them to get a manager as esteemed as someone like Mickey Harte, who has won multiple All-Irelands, provincial titles, national leagues, and absolutely everything else. So it was a great conversation with Sam, speaking a bit about Louth's league campaign last season, looking at some of the one or two reasons why they got relegated, touching on Sam's extraordinary tally in that game versus Longford. He was the only one who scored in the championship for Louth against Longford this season in the championship, in their one game in which they were defeated. We talked a bit about Jim McGuinness and his role at a club in Louth, and Naomh Martins, of course, who won the Louth Senior Football Championship, as well as touching on some of your guys' questions from Instagram and whatnot as well. So I do hope you enjoy. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, follow on Spotify, follow on social media. All the links are in the description down below. And yeah, enjoy the podcast. Okay, so I'm here with Louth footballer Sam Mulroy. So Sam, I suppose first of all, how's things going for yourself, and how's the lockdown been?
Yeah, lockdown's been a strange one, I suppose. I think a lot of people are more fed up this time around, but look, I suppose it's trying to keep yourself busy, trying to focus on down the line, and trying to keep thinking of when we'll be back on the pitch, I suppose, and trying to just stay fit and fit and ready, I suppose, as best we can, and keep the good side out, I suppose.
Perfect, yeah. And I suppose obviously with Louth, obviously they appointed Mickey Harte there just around December time. Like, what was your initial reaction to that appointment? Because I'd say, it was probably one that I don't think many people from Louth could have expected. So I suppose for yourself, as someone who plays on the senior football team, I'd imagine that was quite the moment for yourself and for the rest of Louth.
Yeah, I suppose, as you said, it was a bit of a shock. I suppose to everyone, a shock to myself. Look, we'd heard the rumours, I think, floating around, but it was kind of one of those, oh, Jesus, hardly kind of thing. But look, fair play to anyone who was involved and within Louth GAA to pull it off. It's a hell of a coup for ourselves. That sort of way has been probably one of the weaker counties at the minute. So look, to get a man of Mickey's stature and what he's achieved throughout the game to come and have his expertise. We probably haven't got to, but look, really looking forward to when we do get back on the pitch.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I think I lost you a bit there, just halfway through there a little bit.
Yeah, just cut out there. Yeah. No, look, yeah, just like saying it's exciting. Probably haven't got to spend as much time with him as we would have liked, but look, really looking forward to getting back on the pitch and getting to learn off him, I suppose.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, it was definitely a huge appointment for a county like Louth, like, especially to have a manager of his stature come in. Like, I could definitely see, Louth's and intensity levels open, especially in the next couple of years. Like, has there been much communication from Mickey Harte and the Louth management team about keeping up training levels? And I know obviously you're heavily involved in fitness yourself. So has there been much communication there, like in terms of keeping up that individual training?
Yeah, I suppose like we meet we have a Zoom call every week, just chatting about keeping on top of things, sort of way more than anything. Look, I suppose it's going to be a 4-week gap when you get back training as a team to maybe a league match. So we're going to have to spend that time playing football and getting back to match sharpness. So if we don't come back in good physical condition, we're going to waste time on football football training, and we're going to have to be running. So it's kind of up to ourselves. It's what we're going to do. And I suppose, look, we have a bit of responsibility with our stat sports. Kind of the boys are keeping on top of us with the GPS and stuff like that. So I think, look, everyone's getting it done, and we get sent in what happened during the week, and everyone's accountable. So, look, yeah, there's a bit of pressure to get it done, and it's great, I suppose, to try to keep a little bit of competition, with trying to be top of the leaderboard on certain things, with those GPS stats. So it's nice, and I suppose we do hear it off the boys as well. So it's good.
And I suppose, like, obviously in Louth, like, soccer is definitely a huge pull, like, given the success, like, of Dundalk in the past couple of years. Like, do you think now with Mickey maybe in the helm, like, that pendulum might swing a bit and you might see more people have more interest in Gaelic football in the county of Louth?
Yeah, big time. I suppose, as you said, soccer is a big factor. We have two big towns with two big football clubs and two big soccer clubs. So, look, I think Mickey Harte's appointment is massive swing for the GAA in the county. Um, it's going to inspire a lot of young fellas to try get into that red jersey. And look, I suppose the stadium coming along is another big thing for us as well. Like if we can have somewhere to call home, I suppose, which we really haven't had for many years now. So the stadium, Mickey Harte, I suppose the big appointment was Mickey taking over, helping with the under-20 team as well. So look, that was massive for any young fella to aspire to that. Like even if you're not getting on the senior team, you still have a chance and take those stepping stones into the senior team with the 20s. So look, it's a massive coup and really exciting for any young footballer in Louth, I think.
And I suppose looking back at the championship and league season for Louth, like obviously a disappointing, league campaign. I suppose getting relegated. What do you think was kind of the deciding factors in many ways for the relegation? Because when you look back, like I was having a look at the season previous, you were only 1 or 2 points off promotion from Division 3. So, like in your opinion, like what do you kind of boil that down to?
Yeah, it's a weird one. I suppose the year before we were kicking the ball away from promotion again to Division 2, so it really is fine margins. I think we drew at Westmeath on the last game of the league last year to get promoted, and they needed points, we needed 2. So, and then this year we finished bottom of the league, so it's kind of one of those what we're trying to put our finger on it, and it comes down to little bit of belief, I suppose, and a little bit of luck, and sometimes as well. Like we lost most of our games this way by little small margins. Tipperary bet us by a point, I think, in the last minute in draw. Like things like that are kind of just. Whereas last year you might get it, like we got a goal in Offaly, an own goal in Offaly last year to give us 2 points, then Tullamore. So it's little things. The league is a massive. It's really good competition. Everyone's on a level basis, I think, and little fine margins determine what happens. And I think if you don't win your first 2 league matches, you're going to struggle. And that's what happened to us this year. I think we were bet by Longford and then bet that in that game by Tipperary by a point, and then your confidence goes, and then everyone starts blaming something that's probably not that relevant, or we're not fit enough. And I think it's easy to do that. And then belief starts to go. And once you don't pick up a result here or there, I think you're in trouble big time straight away. So I think belief and mentality in the league format and a little bit of momentum is massive to any team who's going to look to get promoted. And then the other way it works in reverse, I suppose. If you're going to go down, you need to stop those things happening. And you need to pick up points, obviously, and have a little bit of belief in your performance. And we didn't this year, unfortunately. And we got a great win against Down, and then after being hammered by Cork in the last game of the league. So, look, fine margins everywhere, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose you do need a lot of luck, a lot of the time, especially in those kind of close encounters. And I remember watching Louth against Cork in that game, and I thought he's played very well, up until the second half, or up until the goals went in for Cork. I thought it was a very even game, and Cork went on to win every game. But I suppose looking at the Longford game in the championship as well, obviously you scored 1-7, which was the entire tally of the entire Louth team. I suppose a bit of a rare situation where one player, scores for the entire county, I suppose, in one championship game. Was it a weird feeling in some ways coming off the pitch knowing that, or did you even think too much about it?
I actually didn't know.
Oh, really?
To be honest with you, I hadn't a clue. I come off and I think I was sitting in the dressing room, obviously deflated. And I was walking off, and I think there was an RT producer or something was standing there doing an interview with some of the managers or something, and he kind of said, "Oh, Sam, unbelievable," or whatever kind of thing. There was a little comment made, and I was thinking, "After bet, why are you even talking to me?" That sort of way. And then I sat in the dressing room, and someone said, "Did you score everything?" And I was then I thought about it more and more. I suppose it just registered then, but people have said it to me, it's been talked about. It makes no matter. All I wanted was another game in the Leinster Championship, I suppose, and I felt we had got that. I was playing really well. I was after playing well against Cork, played well against Down, and I suppose if we had got another game, I felt that I could have done even more, that sort of way. So look, it wasn't a thing that I looked into too much. I suppose, look, it was a once-off occasion. It'll probably never happen again, ever with anyone. I don't know, it's mad, but it was just the way it happened. I think we scored 4 frees, and it was a miserable day for the match, and it wasn't high score, and 1-7 isn't much for a championship match. So look, it was different circumstances. You're playing in winter, you're playing championship game in winter. It's not like your summer ball where everyone's flying and bouncing off the ground. So look, it was a strange one. Didn't think about it too much, I suppose, and was just really disappointed we didn't win, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose the most important thing really is the win at the end of the day, isn't it? Like rather than individual tallies, like they're good to look back at, but I'd imagine, getting through to the next round is the main thing. Like you kind of touched on it there a little bit, like playing in winter conditions and everything else. Like what was that like? Because obviously a huge change from the usual summer championship where, conditions are way different.
Yeah, big time. Didn't fancy it myself. A big man like myself doesn't move too well in the wet ground. But no, it was strange, I suppose. And the no crowd thing is strange as well. I suppose you're always looking forward to that big crowd day, summer's day for a championship game. Like, and we didn't have that. It was absolutely lashing. There's no one at the match, and it's really weird, eerie feeling. But look, there's a job to be done at the end of the day, and that's what you go out to do, I suppose. No matter who's watching or who's not watching, I suppose. So, look, as you said, results is all that matters. It's a results-driven business. So, look, it didn't happen on the day, unfortunately. But look, moving forward, hopefully we pick up another win in Leinster this year and build on it, that sort of way.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I definitely think there's a lot of possibilities there. Like even with the Leinster Championship as well. Like I suppose when you take Dublin out of the equation, it's very, very competitive. Anyone can kind of beat anyone on any given day, really. And I suppose like looking ahead to that and looking ahead to 2020, like I'd imagine like with Mickey Harte in charge now, like you're probably raring to get back now and actually spend some time on the training pitch and actually, get back to the day-to-day training, I suppose, whenever that time does come.
Yeah, big time. Really looking forward to it. I suppose, as I said, we didn't get to spend an awful lot of time on the training pitch with Mickey. Look, Mickey and Gavin Devlin, who's with him, is like Gavin is absolutely blowing my mind at the minute with training drills and information and stuff like that. Like, so the two of them are really top tier in what they do. And look, whenever that is, I suppose, as you said, it'll be an exciting time to get back out on the pitch, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And you'll be in Division 4 with Antrim, Leitrim and Sligo most likely, like depending on what way they do it. But like I suppose that's the tougher group of the two, really, when you look at Waterford and Wexford and whatnot on the other side. But like, how do you feel you'll get on there? Because I suppose it will be tricky, but like, how do you reckon you'll get on in that group?
Yeah, it's going to be tricky. Look, we're in Division 4 for a reason, I suppose. You're only as good as your last few games, and that's where we've ended up. So, look, you can't write anyone off. They're going to be tough games, and it's going to be tough to get out of Division 4. And as I said, your first two matches are normally really massively important and how the season's going to go. And they're going to be even more important now with only having 4 teams in the group. So look, I suppose you have to target that first game and try to get 2 points on the board and give yourself a fighting chance. So look, obviously we're aspiring to get out of Division 4. I think anyone who's down there is like so. Look, we're going to aim for it, I suppose. But as I said, you can't look away that first game because it's so massively important to give yourself a chance. If you lose that, I think you're up shit creek, really.
Yeah, like I suppose it is. It's going to be very interesting, all right, because I suppose it doesn't apply to Division 4, but every other division, you're either going to be in a promotion battle or a relegation battle. Like there's no in between about it, which I find very interesting. And I suppose, like, do you think, like, obviously, because with Louth, like we were kind of touching on earlier, like you were, a kick of a ball away from promotion there back, a year ago or so. So, like, do you think, if you can get promotion from Division 4, that, the possibilities there for Louth to go on a bit of a run, maybe get up to Division 2 and really see how things go? Because, certainly when you look at it, there's really not a lot of difference really between a lot of those teams from, Division 2, 3 and 4.
Yeah, big time. Like I think, like last year we bet in that run that we kind of had. Like we bet some really good teams. Like Laois went up to Division 2 that year. We were after beating them in Croke Park. Westmeath went up. Where we drew at them in Drogheda. Down were in promotion hunt as well. We bet them up in Newry. Like so, between Division 2 and Division 4, there's not much in the difference between teams. It's that little bit of luck, a little bit of class on the day kind of separates the teams. And I suppose if we can put some form together, you'd really like to think that we could do it. We've done it before. We've done 2 back-to-back promotions a few years ago. So there's no reason why we can't do it. It's just getting the team together, start playing well, I suppose, getting to know each other a little bit better. It's a young team, like so, and there's going to be new ideas with the new management team. So it's putting those in place, getting time together, getting time in the pitch is going to be a massive one, I suppose, with any team due to the COVID situation. Like so, if we can make that happen, I suppose there's no reason why we can't look for a promotion each year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like as I was saying there, like there really isn't too much between a lot of those teams, and there's definitely the potential. Like I suppose, I guess we'll have to see like how the whole league structure is going to look as well. Like with the potential that the GA are looking to change the odd thing here and there. But like who do you see kind of in that Loud side other than yourself? Do you think that could maybe make the difference in that Loud team? In 2021, is there any players you look at and you think if they have a great year, that will definitely be in with a chance?
Yeah, there's some really, really, really good young talent, I suppose. Like the likes of Owen Callan, who's a club mate of mine, kind of started cementing his place at number 6 last year in the last few games of the league, and played there against Longford, a really good footballer, who can have the team built around him. He's that sort of player, sort of way. There's a good lad, Kieran Keenan, from RD, who are beating finalists in the championship, in the club championship this year. Really good 40 yards man, with loads of pace and loads of ball winning ability. Liam Jackson, another RD man. There's a lot of Newtown Blues players. Emma Carolyn, Kieran Down, he's coming back into the fold. Really good footballers. That sort of way. Casey Burns back from Australia, if we can keep him fit. Like there's some really good footballers. It's just getting us all on the pitch, all playing well together, and I suppose building a team. I suppose for the next 5 to 10 years that can really try dominate football, and play really good football. Sort of way we kind of haven't had that. There's been too many players in and out of the teams, over the last few years. So that turnaround needs to stop, I suppose, of looking for new players who's going to be in the team this year. That sort of way. So I suppose if we can get down a solid base of the spine of a team, really, because we haven't had that for years. So if we can get that nailed down, and build a team around, as I said, the likes of Owen Calla and Kieran Keenan, young players like myself, and really look to build on it, I think we'll be in a really good place.
Yeah, consistency is the main thing as well, isn't it? And I suppose if you can get more players, more options, then definitely it'll definitely help. Like, and I suppose like looking ahead to the Leinster Championship as well in 2021 is the most important thing just to get a win on the board. Do you think, or is there a realistic ambition really you look at? I know obviously Dublin are miles and miles ahead, and then you've a couple of other kind of counties kind of fighting underneath. But like, where do you kind of see it?
Yeah, I suppose. Look, you can't look past the first round, and obviously the draw is going to be massive in what side Dublin are. Is a massive thing in Leinster, I suppose. We played them last year, and they bet us out the gate in Portlaoise, that sort of way. So what do you aspire to? Like, it was great to get a championship win. We bet Wexford then, and Wexford that last year. Like, and look, championship wins are what it's all about, I suppose. They're great days, and they don't come around too often in Loud, I suppose. So look, if you got half lucky and get Dublin on the opposite side of the draw, and you put 2 or 3 wins together, you don't know where you are. You're in a really good position then. But I suppose you can't talk about winning Leinster just yet, I suppose. Look, but it's that first game. It's massive, and as I said before, momentum then really kind of takes off, I suppose. If you get 2 good wins on the bench, you're in a really, really good position, I suppose.
Hmm. And I suppose with the Tier 2 championship coming into effect as well in 2021, like, do you think, if I suppose if you were to draw a Dublin maybe early on in the Leinster Championship and then go out, etc., like, do you think at least then, you'll have a bit of game time, you'll have more time under Mickey Harte, like there'll be more kind of experience there with more players? Like, do you see it more like how do you kind of see the Tier 2? Do you see it more in a kind of positive light, or do you think maybe it's also, quite degrading in some ways to counties like Louth and whatnot?
Yeah, it's a strange one. I always like to think positive, I suppose, about things, and try look at the bright side of it. But there is that little bit of the grading thing, and I suppose. But look, once you're getting a chance to play for Sam Mulroy, I think is the main one. Look, if you're not winning your provincial championship, are you really realistically, does outside of your winners of the provincials, are they going to win Sam Maguire? Maybe not, maybe so. I don't know, but look, I think it's going to be a positive having more championship matches, um, especially for young players like myself. And as you said, getting to play more matches and more training time under our new manager and stuff like that will be good and beneficial for a lot of players. And I suppose it gives you a little bit more incentive, as you said. If you draw Dublin first and you get back out the gate in the first round of Leinster and it's over and that's it done, then it's disheartening. And look, we've seen many tweets over the last while of players from different counties around Leinster saying, "Oh, look, what's the point anymore? We're going to get back by Dublin." And I suppose that's a defeatist attitude and stuff, and so on, so on. Maybe it's realistic, maybe it's not. But look, I think more games is going to benefit everyone, no matter who you're playing or what championship you're playing for, etc. I think more games is can only be better for everyone.
Yeah, I suppose Dublin's dominance did kind of, it was certainly anyway kind of a wide discussion, and it was certainly something that a lot of people were speaking about. Like, does it put you off in some ways, like when you see maybe how far they are ahead in Leinster, not just the fact that they've won 10 Leinsters in a row, but they've very much kind of walked it in many ways. Like, does that put you off in some ways when you're kind of, I suppose when you're training long winter nights and whatnot, like when you see how far they are ahead, does that put you off a bit, or do you not think too much about it?
No, to be honest, it doesn't put me off, and I don't think too much about it. I suppose. Look, they are where they are for a really good reason, and they have some really, really good footballers with really good attitudes. I suppose, and that's what it boils down to. You can talk about money, you can talk about population, but they apply all the basic principles of being really good footballers. And they're all fast, they're all strong, and they can all kick the ball over the bar. And I think I use it as nearly a standard, and that's they set the gold standard, and let's go catch it, and let's get as close to it as we can. And I suppose for me, that's what it's about personally. I suppose as well as being, can I be as good as Conor Callaghan or Kieran Kilkenny? And I think most people should look at it like that, because look, why saying what's good and what's the good thing of saying, oh, they're too far ahead, let's give up now. I'm not about that. I'd like to strive and be as good as them and try catch them, I suppose, more so than whinge about it, if you get me.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think that's the right attitude in many ways. Like, I think if you start thinking that you're already beaten, or you start putting obstacles in place, then it makes it tougher and it makes it harder. And then, before you know it, you'll be nowhere near. So I think that's definitely the right attitude. And I suppose like on the kind of flip side of that as well, like when you look at counties like Carlow who've gone on, good runs in Leinster, Longford, Tipperary and Munster this year, and even Cavan and Ulster, like, does that kind of give you a bit of confidence as well that, okay, maybe not this year or next year, but, at some point down the line that maybe Louth can go on a bit of a run and cause one or two shocks along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the likes of Cavan and Tip and the boys that have done it this year, it's really positive, and I think it excited everyone, and everyone gets behind you then, and it's exciting. But as I said, it's kind of getting that team together that can do that for the next 5 to 10 years, and putting that in place, because it doesn't just happen overnight, and it's not just all about luck. It's about having a little bit of structure and the setup within the county and trying to be the best in the county. I suppose, look, if Louth GAA put together a good plan for the next few years, I know there's been big work done with underage squads, regards in S&C and time spent on the pitch. So look, there's positives coming. It's just about, as I said, having that momentum and having that team to do it over the next 5 years. Because look, it doesn't happen through luck, and it doesn't happen by accident. So, look, as you said, it would be brilliant to get that run, but we have to put in the work first, I suppose.
And I suppose like with 2020 in general, like it was a tough year for most, but I'd imagine it was special enough for yourself anyway, with the fact that Naomh Martins won their first Louth senior football championship. Like, I'd imagine that's one of the highlights anyways of your playing days so far.
Yeah, big time. Massive achievement for our club. Suppose we're in this is our third final in a row. So really nice to finally get over the line. There's been a lot of people who've put in a lot of work with our club over the last few years, playing and not playing. And I suppose for me, I'm only young. I really hope that I'll get the chance to do it again. But for them who probably won't get the chance to do it again, playing boys or who were just missed out, it was really nice to see them over the line, I suppose, more so than anything. The club, I think, has been senior for 30 years now, I suppose, and never won a club championship, or never won a senior competitive trophy up until 3 years ago when we won the league for the first time. So, look, there's been big strides made in the club as well, and there's been big plans put in place. So, a really big moment in 2020 for myself personally, and for the club, I suppose. There was a bit of good come out of it.
Was the expectation there in some ways that, before a ball was kicked, that you could go and win it? Like, did you have that belief? Well, obviously you did have the belief because you went on and won it, but did you have that expectation there that, this year could be our year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was if we didn't do it this year, we may give up. I think it was one of those. So yeah, as I said, last three finals, there was a lot of learning done in the last two finals. Probably should have won it the first year we got there, and we were beaten last kick of the ball kind of thing after been dominating the game. Then we rocked up last year, probably expecting to walk it, and that we deserved it a little bit, and we were a little bit soft and got walked all over that day. So I think this year was it was all action kind of had to be done kind of thing. Just let's get the monkey off the back here. And so there was so much focus and so much probably dedication put towards winning that championship. And I suppose it made it easier that no one could go out, no one could go drinking, no one could do anything. It was just all about playing football for Naomh Martins this year, and I think everyone bought into it and really and drove it on and got it over the line. And it was a credit to all the players, management, and the club itself for making it happen after so long. So brilliant to do it, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose where everything kind of closed and where everything, shut up shop, it definitely kind of probably narrowed your focus in many ways and focus literally just on the games and what was, tasked ahead. I believe Jim McGuinness was involved in some ways, wasn't he, as well? Like from what I've heard anyway, like what was he like?
I can't speak about that. I'm under serious caution.
Oh, really?
No, I'm
Yeah.
only messing. No, he was the one who gave it away, I suppose. He had he'd said it on a Sky interview, I think, after the thing came out of him being with Galway.
Yeah.
I think he said that he'd been with a club in Louth and no one knew and no one did know. It was a really strange one. It happened. He was staying for 1 or 2 sessions, and a chat and he just had a link within the club, and it happened. And yeah, as I said, you're dealing with different gravy there. That's top of the pop stuff, and he was absolutely incredible. The way he speaks, the way he thinks about the game, and it was really easy to see why Donegal won in All Ireland.
Yeah, from listening to him on Sky anyway, like just in terms of his punditry, in terms of his analysis, like he seems streets ahead in many ways. Like, and I know a lot of people criticise Donegal for the way they played and the way they won that All Ireland, but for me, like I think it was, nothing short of genius what he done at Donegal. Like the way he came into that team and built them into what they were. Because I think a lot of people forget as well, before Jim McGuinness took over, like Donegal were very much kind of, they were nowhere near winning an Ulster, let alone an All Ireland, and beating Dublin as well in 2014 the way he did. Like what was it like in some ways to work with him and kind of see those ideas? And I suppose I'd imagine that was I suppose quite the year working with him in at Naomh Martins.
Yeah, big time. Like as I said, you can see why they done it and how they done it. He breaks everything down to a little T. He picks parts of the game apart and how you're going to win the game and how we could potentially lose the game, and he fixes those things. And he really thinks, as you said, his analysis on Sky is really good because he really just picks the game apart and breaks it down for you in simple terms. And you go, "Oh, why didn't I think of that kind of thing?" He's so to the point, and his language, his coaching language, the way he speaks to the players is exceptional, and that belief that he instills in you. And I suppose that drill that came out of him training Galway, where the boys are running over and back the pitch and doing a hand passing drill, and there was so much debate over why was Jim McGuinness doing a hand passing drill, and it wasn't about doing a hand passing drill. It was about how much are you going to give them in the section kind of thing, and it was blowing so much out of proportion. And I think he really focused on doing the basics well to the best of your ability and give them all you can. And people train at 80% the whole time, so why not train at 100? And that's what we kind of focused on, I suppose, was giving it our all the whole time and stop coasting and stop being comfortable. And I suppose that's what he done with Donegal. I think he speaks about in his book about walking in on the first night saying we're going to win an All Ireland, and if you don't believe me, get out. And people started laughing. And to change that mentality in a team takes some skill and some management and leadership skills. So look, he's an absolute credit to himself and to Donegal. So it was an absolute joy to get to work with him.
Yeah, definitely. And it'll always be interesting to see if he ever does go back into county management at some point. I suppose in that Naomh Martins team as well, I suppose he did have a couple of experienced heads in there, like JP Rooney and a few others. Was having them around, do you think, as well, kind of, the big kind of part of that success as well in 2020?
Yeah, massively. JP is a legend of the game, I suppose, and to have him and to learn off him the last number of years playing alongside him has been massive in my own development. And look, Mick Fannon's there as well, who would have played in the Leinster final. Craig Lynch in goals for us has been Louth's #1 for the last 5, 6, 7 years. And then we had 5 county players this year from the club. So there's a lot of experience head around. Our manager Fergal Reel has won, I think, 5 championships with clubs in Louth already. So look, there was a lot of experience around, and it was great to put those heads together and put those ideas together and to learn off the boys who've been here and went through the shit, I suppose, of been in relegation playoffs and to finally get them over the line, as I said already, was probably the most enjoyable thing about winning the championship this year.
Mm. And I suppose obviously like in 2020, like I think you were touching on earlier a little bit as well, like the fact that there's a separate window in some ways now for club and county. Like, do you think that will help, clubs like Naomh Martins and I suppose Louth in general as well? Like the fact that, if there is that separate window, then there isn't this whole club versus county debate that always arises year on year.
Yeah, big time. I think the two pulling against each other isn't fair, and it's not fair on anyone, I suppose. And look, in Louth over the last few years, we've only two starred games where club players can't play in two league matches, and I think like some counties have 5 games. I know Tyrone, I think, have 5 or 7 games where they can't play with county players. Like, so look, I think it needs to be evened out everywhere across the country, and if that means playing 6 months club and 6 months county, I'm all for it, because I think having us here with the club for 12 weeks or whatever it did span over, really helped everyone. It kind of nearly helps you a little bit as well, in a sense of you're not getting pulled from both managers. You're let play. I deal with Fergal for the 12 weeks, and then I go and deal with Wayne Kieran's last year for the 12 weeks, that sort of way. So it takes out that, and then like the clubs don't want you going back training with Louth if there's 4 league matches coming up, and the county don't want you missing Louth training because of the club match at the weekend. So I think the fighting against each other thing needs to stop, and I think that split season of them both happening on the separate occasions really helped last year, and I think it could help this year, and I think it's the way to go.
Yeah, I think it's better from an entertainment point of view as well. Like, you get to see more games, and this year in particular, like you got to see more games like across the whole country, from Kerry, from Louth, from Anna, like everywhere. Like, and yeah, I think it would be the best thing, not just from a player point of view, but I think also from a fan point of view, and from from many different kind of media as well. Like, I think they'd much prefer it. Like, is the ambition there as well for yourselves? Even, I know, like, obviously in 2021, there's no guarantee about when the county championship's going to come back and what the scenario is going to be around it. But is the ambition there, if you were to win another, I suppose, senior championship, to actually, crack on a bit more, or maybe aim towards a Leinster or and so on? Because I think, you've seen sometimes in Leinster before, there has been a few shocks down the years. Like, I think it was Mullineachta who pulled off a big shock one year. Ratnew, I think, beat Vincent. So, like, there's definitely the potential for a couple of shocks there. So is that kind of a big ambition for yourself as well?
Yeah, big time. I suppose, look, you can't look past getting outside Louth, or getting outside your club championship first. But down the line, I think we were a bit, I suppose, disappointed this year that didn't happen, because there was a few whispers then that it was going to happen, and I suppose it would have been nice to have a crack at it and put yourselves up against the best teams around Leinster. And I suppose that's what it's about. I suppose testing yourself and see where you're at. Like, and I suppose Louth teams haven't been great competing in Leinster over the last few years, but look, they have been great over the years. I think 2010 or 11, Mac Rangers got to the Leinster final. And as you said, there's been shocks over the last few years with Mullineachta and Ratnew, I suppose. So look, it can happen, and I suppose you can't look by getting outside Louth, but big time personally, and there's nothing more that I'd like than to come up against some of the big clubs of Leinster.
Yeah, and I suppose like what we'll do now is we'll just go through some quick fire questions, and just some questions from people over on Instagram before we finish up. So I suppose, who was your biggest inspiration growing up from a football point of view?
JP Rooney.
Yeah, JP Rooney was definitely some player. All right, like that 2010 season in particular, he was something else, wasn't he?
I think it's still recorded on my skybox at home, that Leinster final, and I always go back in and have a little look at the goal. Look, JP's been a massive influence on my career over the last 10 or 12 years, development wise, and he's always there for a chat, I suppose, and to run ideas by someone who's played senior football for 20 years, played with Louth for I don't know how many seasons, and to me, I think he's up there with one of the top championship goal scorers in Ireland. And look, he's any amount of experience. He's played soccer. He's at trials in England. He's a top athlete, with so much skill and so much mental ability and toughness to really be a top player. So I've enjoyed learning off him over the last few years.
And the best player you played against?
Paddy Keenan, club championship match. Paddy was, as you know, Louth's only all-star. So I think I marked him midfield, I think, in a game. Paddy definitely up there with one of the best I've ever marked.
And you might have answered this there just about a few minutes ago, but the best player you played with, would that be JP Rooney, or do you think there'll be someone else there who'd come close?
That's a difficult one. I think JP's up there. Look, I've played with a lot of good players. I suppose even college matches, I get to play with Niall Cairns from Monaghan and Rian O'Neill from Armagh. So there's really good players through that, and then you have players at the club, I suppose, as I spoke about, Owen Callaghan, John Clutterbuck's a really good player that I like playing with. Then I suppose, but JP is probably the best one that I've liked, enjoyed playing with and learned the most off, I suppose.
And I suppose, like, any tips on, staying consistent with training over the lockdown? I know you have your own fitness company and you're heavily involved on that. So, like, would there be any kind of tips in regards to that? I know training is different, everyone's kind of different athletes and whatnot, so it's different across the board. But any kind of general tips in your point of view?
Yeah, I think, look, the main thing is probably scheduling and when you're going to work out. I think it's a big one. Everyone's routine has kind of changed from working at home, or school's off, or colleges are off, and everyone's routine's all over the place. So I think anything you can put into routine makes it a little bit easier. So scheduling workouts and walks, runs, whatever it is you're doing. I know, as you said, everyone's at different stages of their athletic development. So look, having planned routine and workout is really, really important. Trying to go to bed and get up at the same time, get up out of bed at the same time is really important for me. And trying to eat well, which can be tough to do, obviously, when you're sitting at home. It's easy to go to have a few biscuits or whatever. But look, I think nutrition and sleep, doing the basics really well. And as I said, scheduling workouts, whatever that may be, if it's a gym session at home or if it's that 5K run that everyone's mad to do. I think having them planned and scheduled will really help with the fitness levels and motivation.
And someone was asking here, who's the fastest player on the Louth team?
The fastest player on the Louth team is Conor Grimes, I think, at the minute.
And then go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just big Conor Grimes. You wouldn't think it. He's 6'4" and probably weighs nearly 100 kg, but he can move all right.
It always seems to be that way as well, isn't it? It's always the tall lads and stuff. I'm not sure who always seem to have that extra. I don't know. I always say it's because they have the extra yard or something like that because they're taller. But yeah,
I suppose there's a bit of a strength ratio, strength to speed ratio that the amount of force he applies into the ground is massive. So look, he moves well. There's a lot of other small, kind of lighter, faster lads as well. I suppose the likes of Ryan Burns is really fast. Kieran Keenan, there's lads like that. But Grimes, I think, is hitting the top speed at the minute.
And what do you think about Cathal Ferreter joining the Young Irelanders? He's a young up and coming player. I think he won a couple of minor titles. I think with Kerry, he played down there for a good while. So I don't know. You probably don't even know who he is, but he's a young player at the moment who's coming over to play in the Louth Senior Football Championship. Anyways.
Yeah, spoke about last week. I actually think he was tapped up by DQIT to play to transfer to Dundalk College, play football. So it would have been nice to get to play with him, but it's a massive coup for Dundalk Young Irelanders, and that'll be a massive help to try get them out of, or to try win a championship again. So look, all the best to him, and any club that pulls that off deserves a little bit of credit, I suppose.
Perfect. Well, look, listen, cheers for coming on, Sam, anyways, and I'll leave a link down below as well to your fitness page on Instagram and whatnot, so if anyone wants to check it out, they can. And look, listen, I appreciate your time, and cheers for coming on.
Perfect. Thanks a million. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much for watching or listening. Big thanks to Sam Mulroy for coming on the podcast there to share some insight into the Louth Senior footballers ahead of the upcoming league and championship season. Of course, if it does go ahead, let's hope it certainly does. But yeah, look, listen, big thanks to anyone who watched, followed, liked, subscribed throughout this episode. And look, listen, plenty more episodes to come soon. I'll be speaking with Luke Connolly, Conor Sweeney and Conor McCann are all in line to come on in the next couple of weeks. So if you do have any questions for them in the comments down below, feel free to let me know. And yeah, look, listen, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll speak to you soon.